Are you experiencing a low reach on Instagram right now? After watching this video, you'll understand why your reach is down. But the first reason why your reach may be down is because it's summertime, it's vacation time. People are not as active on social media as perhaps in the winter time, when they're more like tucked in their homes and are streaming a lot more social media. Now, the second reason why your reach may be down, I use my account as an example so you can see what I mean. And make sure you stay till the end, because I'm going to share a tip that all big accounts use it to boost their reach quickly. I started out with sharing a lot of like lingerie reels, me sewing, making lingerie. I've done really well with those reels, like they're performing really well, and then I expanded to do clothes, but it's like kind of the same video format, like the in-process video. Occasionally I test other formats. If I test another format and it works really well, I could continue posting that content. If I, however, test something that isn't really working, is not performing, I should not continue to post that content. You have trained your audience to consume a type of content. You have also trained the algorithms. So if you do something that is still like very relatable to your niche and to what you're doing, it could potentially work out for you. Like if it's a good video, it could work. But if you post something that is a bit more of niche, so for example, I also shared some like behind the scenes of me redecorating my room, and it's like Instagram don't know who to push it to, and people are not used to consuming that content from me, so Instagram has a hard time figuring out where to push it and who to push it to. So my experience is, if you compare old Instagram to today, is that even though Instagram still says they values relationships, I feel like they don't in the same way as before. So before, the top priority was the relationships you had with people, and that's how Instagram pushed like kind of your content to you. Today it's more based on the actual content, and that's why it's so harder in a way, because your content needs to be on point every time. You try a new content format or you try something new content, you just don't want to bombard your account with that content, because if it's not performing, that is going to cause some serious damage to your account, and it's going to take some time to rebuild it. You can rebuild it, but you've got to know what you're doing. For example, I have my standard videos which I post, which is my in-process videos, and again, like photos on my account don't perform well at all. Like they don't perform well at all, so I shouldn't post photos unless in my like stories or so, but like on my feed, no. What I did is I actually posted a few photos. I also posted content that isn't within my standard content. What happened? Huge drop. And this happens, like if you post content that isn't performing and that isn't like related to what you do, that is going to seriously damage your reach, your engagement, and your traffic, like everything, like your following count, everything. There is a way you can fix this, and I'm going to share that at the end of the video, because that's also part of my little tip I have for you that you can use. Really boost up your account if you're struggling with low reach. My third point, and this is something I see people do who have been on Instagram for quite some time. You know, they were successful back in the day, they grow their accounts, and then now they're really struggling. Engagement is really down, and they just, you know, they're not reaching the people they want to reach. And why is because, one, they haven't fully adapted and mastered new content formats, which is Reels, short form video content. A strategy you used like in 2019 may not work today. Climate has change. You don't change with it, you're going to get left behind, and it's really hard to recover from that. So if you, as my example earlier, or the point earlier, if you continue posting that wrong content that isn't serving you, you are going to be in serious trouble with your reach, and it's going to get harder and harder to get out of it. It's such a shame, because most people that I see do this, they don't understand why. So what do? They blame the algorithm, they complain about things, so they have more of a victim mentality basically. Unfortunately, this does not serve them well at all. Instead of like fixing the problem, like focusing on fixing the problem, the way the algorithms works is Instagram is going to push out your content to people if they engage, if they consume on it, because Instagram wants people to stay as long as possible on the platform. You post something and everyone's just like scrolling past it, Instagram is not going to push that out to more people. It's like if you have a business and you're trying to sell something that isn't selling, and you still try to sell it, and you've done that, like some people do this as well, which is insane, but still try to sell it, but no one is interested in it. Like, that's not gonna be good for anyone. It's your responsibility to fix your content. And the fourth one is quite obvious, but still it's a massive problem, so I just have to bring it up, and that is you're not posting consistently. Most people are not posting consistently, and ideally you should post, like, let's say, I would say at least 5 times a week if you can, and preferably majority of that content should be reels. You can take occasional breaks, which I actually recommend you to do, because you do need to take breaks and refresh like everything. And just, yeah, you know, breaks are good sometimes. But if you post 4 to 5 times a week, or like 5 times a week, and then you don't post anything else for like 6 months, then that's an issue. Or you post like every now and then, like blah, 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 like that's an issue. But if you post like on average like 4 or 5 times a week, and your account is doing well, and then you take a break for 2 weeks and then you start posting again, like that is not going to be a big issue. Sometimes I've done like more posts in a week, and sometimes I've done less in a week, and it's okay, like my account has still grown. So the most important thing again is like, you need to have good content. That's the most important thing you need to be focusing on if you're trying to grow your audience, is producing good content. So if you're someone who's just starting out with Instagram, you're trying to grow your account, you're trying to grow your followers, focus on your content, optimizing and make your content as good as it can be, and always be critical with your content. With every post I make, with every reel I make, I look at it and I'm like, what's wrong with it? I'm not going like, oh, this is really good, like, wow, yeah, I love my content. No. I'm like, what's wrong with it? How can I improve it? How can I make it better? Always looking at, can I make improvements? And there's another tip you can implement here, which is really, really helpful, help you increase your quality of your content very quickly. And that is to find an account which you like admire, and that you see yourself, that's where I want to be, like that's the level. It has to be someone that is very successful, so you know that it actually works. Someone who has really great content, look at them, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to aim for that quality. And actually, if you want to be at that same level, your content needs to be at the minimum at that quality. Most people, this is very common when you start out, and I've been through this as well. I've like gone through it, and it's a process that you go through if you're in the game long enough. That when you start out, you're gonna, you know, you see improvements, you're like, oh yeah, this looks really good. And then 2 weeks later, you're like, oh fuck, that is so horrible. How did I think that was good? So don't fall in love with your own content and your own designs. Look at everything with a critical eye, because it's not as good as you think. It's never as good as you think. And like, aim for the quality of someone who's up here, and even if you don't get your quality up here, you'll still get it like way higher than if you didn't do that. That's my experience. So you want to set the goal higher, and then you'll reach a higher level. Brings me to point 5, which is kind of what I talked about, is like your quality isn't where it needs to be. And this is the most massive problem I see with creators who are struggling. Like, the quality of the content isn't where it needs to be. So if I have a content on my account, for example, that isn't performing well, I'm like, okay, this isn't good enough. I need to improve my content. But it's not like good enough in a negative way. Like, it's not a negative feeling for me. I just want to make that clear. It's not like, oh, I'm not good enough, it's not good enough, blah, blah, blah. Like, nothing like that. It's like, okay, it's not good enough, I need to improve it. If I wanted to perform better, I need to improve it. I need to do better. And for me, I just love the creativity of creating content, and I also love a challenge. So for me, I think it's fun, and yeah, I think it's like the challenge part for me. I really enjoy that. So the challenge for me, okay, how can I make it better? How can I make it even better? Also need to make sure that it resonates with your audience. So that audience who consumes your content, like, is it really helpful? Is it really clear what you're doing? If it's not, they're not going to consume your content. And if they don't consume your content, you're not going to get that reach. And it's not going to perform well. To always produce higher quality content that is also resonating with the audience you're posting to. To my pro tip I have for you, successful accounts, they use this strategy, but the small accounts, they don't. And actually, a lot of small accounts, they resent this strategy, and they're like, Make sure you implement this strategy, because it is going to make a huge difference in your growth. Again, like, this is something that all the top creators use, and that is reposting your best performing content. Like, seriously, you need to do this. You're like, oh well, is it gonna really make that difference? Yes, it is. And this is something I recently did. Like, I took a little break from posting, and then I got back to posting it. So like, okay, I need to get my reach up. So what did I do? I went through my feed and like, okay, what content has performed well in the past? I haven't posted in a while. Then I posted that, and boom, my reach went back up. I had a video go viral, and I got 7,000 followers in just 7 days. And one day I had over 3,000 followers, which is the highest so far. So don't underestimate this strategy. This is one of the main strategies I use to grow my account. I repurpose my best performing content. You want to find a format that works really well and then continue posting that format. Then you want to repost the content you posted, and that's going to usually boost your account. Like there's a few videos that I've reposted quite a few times because whenever I repost it, the reach is insane. So of course I'm going to leverage that. Of course I'm going to use that again. And this is something smart content creators do. So if you're not doing it, you are really missing out on great reach potential. See you in the next one.